Hello, everyone. This is Legend here from the Editing Bay. Before this interview kicks off, I want to note that I have edited the interview to the best of my ability as to reduce dead space and streamline the audio. When I did the interview, I didn't initially go into it with the thought I would release the whole interview, and this is shown a couple times in the way I lead into a question or respond to Kharnage's answer. Either way, I hope you enjoy. This interview was a lot of fun to do, and maybe sometime down the road I can do another with a different creator, or even some members of the Tacticus community, but we will see what the future holds. I ain't gonna take up any more time, let's get into the interview. Alright, so I've arranged for a interview with Kharnage. Kharnage, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everybody.
If you don't know, Kharnage is a fellow Tacticus creator, and the current I ain't gonna spoil too much. I do have it arranged in the questions I'm going to ask, so we'll just start simple. Let's go with a simple introduction, who you are, what you do, that I haven't already spoiled, how long you've played Tacticus, and, well, what's your favorite part of the game, or at least like a favorite part?
Sure. So my screen name is Kharnage in game, and it's cpunerd/Kharnage on Discord. That's because I was using Discord first for other things, and then started playing Tacticus. And the guild that I joined requested that my name be the same, so they knew who they were talking to. I am the current maintainer of the Tacticus Planner. The original creator stepped back more than half a year ago. Like most people who've been playing since the beginning of the game, he eventually just decided it was time to leave. And he still maintains the servers, but I do all of the code. So like he pays for the costs through the donation links in the planner. I'm the one who actually adds new code to the planner along with the help of some of the volunteers. I'm the one who does the regular patch updates, etc. And if there's a bug in the planner, I'm the one who will triage it and either fix it myself or ask somebody else for help to fix it. And let's see, the other questions you had were Tacticus, favorite parts of the game. In terms of the game itself, my favorite game mode is probably survival. I know it's not really that popular of a choice, but I still really enjoy it. And the thing that I actually like most about the game is planning, because my entire family is a family of planners. So when I found the Tacticus Planner, it was a match made in heaven.
How long would you say I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I heard the answer to it. How long would you say you've been playing for?
I started playing. I picked it up in September 2024 on a business trip from Switzerland to the US. And I was looking, funny enough, I was looking for a game that I could just download on my phone and then play while I was offline without Wi-Fi. And Tacticus was not it. And I was kind of turned off by all the what I considered to be pretty predatory monetary offers that the game has. And it wasn't until I saw something from a webcomic where the author was talking about Warhammer 40K video games, saying that most of them are actually pretty good. And he specifically mentioned Tacticus. And that was in November, just around Thanksgiving 2024. So I picked up the game then, and that's when I really started playing. So while technically I started in September, I would say probably close to Thanksgiving 2024 is more realistic. So it seems about 15 months at this point, soon to be 16.
Nice. Yeah, I know you said you like survival, and it's like, not my cup of tea, but I also am a very big fan of Tournament Arena, which I know is also not a very popular choice.
Yep, I personally loathe Tournament Arena, but as you said, I don't think that any one game mode is universally loved by everybody. Even legendary events, which are probably the most popular, there's still a lot of people who don't enjoy them for various reasons.
Yeah. All right. How would you describe Tacticus Planner in your own words? I feel like it would be very beneficial to have your take on it, because
Yeah,
I have a very
sure.
different view.
So, to do that, I think that we should first define Tacticus. I think that Tacticus is a resource management game disguised as a hero collector game, disguised as a real time or a turn based strategy game. And you can play in any of those three levels. So if you just like turn based strategy and you don't care about anything else, you don't have to log in every day. You don't have to use all of your energy. You don't have to do refreshes with Blackstone, etc. You don't have to rank up your units much at all to just enjoy playing. If you want to start collecting heroes, then maybe you need to do a little bit of thinking about it, like especially for things like hero release events or legendary events. But if you really want to be good at the game, yes, there's skill involved in the turn-based strategy part of it. You can't just, like go kamikaze and expect everything to work. But the vast majority of this, and I only came to realize this after I became a creator, it's really about advancing your roster, and that takes a lot of careful planning if you want to get past Silver 1, for example.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. It's very hard to juggle everything that you need in your head. So I think that the planner fills that gap precisely. We don't aim to tell you what to do. We don't aim to give you suggestions on which characters are best. We aim to let you maximize the advancement of your roster with the resources that you have at your disposal.
Perfect. So the next question, you already did answer pretty much all of it, because the next one was, when did you take over for Severyn? I know you said roughly a year now.
No, about 6 months ago. So he was
6 months. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he had kind of stopped doing any coding himself, probably by late spring 2025, and then early summer 2025. He also basically was getting really slow with code reviews, to the point where you could tell that he was basically done. He had even switched from a lower guild, or from the top Ukrainian guild to a lower guild, because he wasn't playing enough to be competitive. And at some point, it was before Mythic, I know that for sure. We actually took over I took over the responsibilities for the planner from him. There was another volunteer for the planner who had been somewhat active at that point, mainly with smaller updates, who started with me, but he also, in November, December 2025, just got, life got in the way, and he said he barely has enough time to play the game anymore, let alone contribute to coding. So I really took over full time in, I think, November 2025, but I was still doing most of the code reviews at that point, and just kind of pinging him for help to review code.
I obviously know the answer, because I've taken enough time to look into Tacticus Planner. I do want to just get it on for the record. Are you alone in this work, or do you have fellow contributors? And if so, how do they help around?
So we definitely have contributors. I'm not alone. They help in a variety of ways. So the most notable way that you'll see is that we have a very active Discord community. It's not large, but if you come to the Tacticus Planner Discord with an issue, and it's not something that's a bug in the planner, it's more that you don't understand how something works, or you're trying to figure out a way to make it work better, we have a very, very, very helpful set of people in the planner Discord that will jump in at a moment's notice and help out whoever comes asking for help. The next way that we get help is through small contributions. This is usually somebody has an idea for a feature that they want to see in the planner. That's actually how I got started. So they'll come to us, they'll say that they want to do something like this, and we'll point them in the right direction, give them some tips, and if things work out, they'll send us some code, we'll integrate it, and then they've become a contributor. The most helpful way for code contribution that people contribute right now is either through bug fixing or through kind of feature refinement, I would call it. The planner is for Tacticus, which the game is not simple, but it's not incredibly complex. The planner has a lot of functionality. It helps you do a lot of different things, but it's very rough around the edges. One of the contributors that I have in mind who's been helping out said that you can take a more polished Tacticus helping app, like the Tacticus Codex, for example, and it's good at what it does, but you don't quite have the same power that you do with the planner, whereas the planner definitely is not polished. You can tell that in real life. I'm a back-end software engineer, not a front-end engineer. But if you know how to use it right, it's really powerful and can help you out significantly more than some of the other tools out there. And the final way that people contribute is we haven't had this since the other person stepped down, is by really coming in and trying to take over part of the responsibilities that I have.
All right, perfect. Let's see here. What we got next? Yeah. So what part of Planner do you find the most critical and beneficial to any user? I'm sure we can probably guess, but again,
So
it's something I like to just get on the record.
yeah, it depends on how you interpret that. To any user, it's almost certainly the goals planner. Just being able to set goals and then have it tell you the most efficient way to do your daily raids in order to make sure that you hit your goals as efficiently as possible. I Everybody needs it. It doesn't matter if you're farming somebody up to silver 1 for the first time, or if you're pre-farming 3 units to diamond 3 or adamantine 1 for your raid team. You need to know some of this information, and the planner will help you achieve your goals in the fastest and most efficient way possible. And this comes back to me saying that that Tacticus itself is actually a resource management game. Now, if you know what you're doing, I would then say that the next most helpful thing, and the thing that I'm most interested in, is actually legendary events, and specifically things like tokenomics. So planning your teams out, that's been there for a long time. Tokenomics was a feature that I added. I got the idea and inspiration from one of the many chats that I have with people on the Tacticus Discord. There's a chat room there that 5 or 10 other people and I kind of started and has grown. And something that people wanted. Basically, Tacticus is a resource management game. Legendary events are a great example of that. You have a finite amount of tokens in any given legendary event. If you're free to play, it's 68, I believe. And if you're paid to play, you can get, I think, an additional 6 or 74. And if you do not use your tokens optimally, that could be the difference between, for example, getting 4 or 5 stars on the unit's first legendary event versus not even unlocking them. And there were lots of people who had that issue, and you saw many old school players of Tacticus. I know it sounds funny to use that term because it's only 3 years old, who have done things like create super complicated spreadsheets to try to map out all their units, all the restrictions, figure out which units can be used for what, how far their unit can go, etc. And tokenomics can't tell you how far any particular team can go, but if you can build your teams and tell it how far you think each team will go, it can tell you the most efficient usage of your existing tokens, and that will help you get the highest unlock possible. So I know several people who didn't really use the planner before, and they started using tokenomics heavily during Farsight. And while they were paid to play, they bought both packs, and I think they even bought Oh So Close shards. They managed to get Farsight Blue Star on his first event, which Farsight was the first event since I think Mephiston where people had managed to do something like that, because or Pattermine, not Mephiston, because
yeah, it would have been Pattermine.
Yeah, people were I think after Pattermine came Dante, then Tryon, then Lucius, and now Farsight. So those other 3, Snowprint basically made it impossible to get Blue Star on the first event, even if you paid.
All right. Okay, so I did. So some of the coming up questions, I asked my guildmates, hey, what are some questions you would ask about Tacticus Planner? And I very also hesitantly was willing to take any that were a little more directed towards you. We'll start with one that was definitely more approached towards you. How do you approach resources for characters? Do you like farming those resources as you go along, or do you prefer pre-farming strategies?
So that's actually a fantastic question. And I think it depends on the character and your progress in the game. I am lucky enough that I got into a pretty good guild early on. We're in the top 25 reliably now. We're trying to work our way into the top 20 reliably. So my roster is a little more advanced than other people who've been playing for about the same amount of time. And what that means is that I consider myself to be in a good position to pre-farm. I think that if you're somebody who doesn't have anything more than gold 1 characters, pre-farming is a terrible idea. Like pre-farming to bronze 1, sure, because that's a day or 2 of energy, but like pre-farming somebody to gold 1 when you don't have anybody else that high, I don't think that makes sense. I personally have 2 modes. If I know I'm going to unlock a character and that character is very important, the first example I have of that is Tryon, and the second example I have of that is Abaddon. I knew I was going to unlock Tryon during his second event, and I knew I was going to unlock Abaddon because I had just committed to shard farming. I pre-farmed both of them. But with Tryon, I knew that I would be able to pre-farm him and get him to Diamond 3 the moment I unlocked him. And with Abaddon, I knew that I wouldn't. I would be able to get him, I think, to Gold 1 by the time I unlocked him because of where I was, or maybe it was Diamond 1, and then I would still need to take some time farming him up from there. So I do believe that pre-farming is a good idea if your roster allows it. And if it doesn't, I have other examples where I've unlocked a character, who sat at Stone 1 for a while, and then I've decided that I need that character to develop them. And usually for somebody in my position, if you're going to build a character, you're either building them basically to Silver 1, or you're building them to either Diamond 1 or Diamond 3. And in that case, I have a different strategy. If it's Silver 1, I just build them to Silver 1. I just start farming them and be done with it. Oftentimes, I won't even use the planner to tell me what to raid because it's simple enough. But if it's to Diamond 1 or higher, I use a feature in the planner called split goals or incremental goals, depending on how you want to refer to it. And typically what I will do is set a goal to farm only the legendary materials for that character to their target rank. So let's say I'm going to farm someone to D3. I will set a goal to farm all of their legendary materials to Diamond 2.5. That takes care of all the faction legendaries. Then I will set another goal to farm all of their common, uncommon, rare, and epic materials from Stone 1 to, let's say, Silver 1, then from Silver 1 to Gold 1, from Gold 1 to Diamond 1, and then from Diamond 1 to Diamond 2.5. And then when I've hit all those, I'll have another goal to just finish off from Diamond 2.5 to Diamond 3. And what that allows you to do is use the character at those various breakpoints in certain events. So let's say you have a quest coming up where maybe your character's on the Gold 1, it's not Diamond, but that means they're still useful in the rare and epic tiers. Or you're going to play Guild Wars. This happened to me with both the Gene Stealer Colts and the Blood Angels. I had nobody from Gene Stealer Colts above Stone 1, and I decided to farm them all up to Silver 1 for the Tau campaign event to get to Ravos' Extremist node. And the Blood Angels, I had Dante at Diamond 3 and Nico at Diamond 1, but the others, Mephiston, Lucian, and Mataneo were all at Stone 1. So I set incremental goals to get them all to Bronze 1, then to Silver 1, then to Gold 1. So that way I could use them in Gold Wars in both Guild Wars and in Tournament Arena at various breakpoints.
All right, perfect. That is certainly an interesting take. I wouldn't have honestly ever thought about it that deep myself.
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to play around with it, and I know other people who these guys are like power level 75. They have every character. Potentially, they have an entire Gold 1 baseline. So for them, when a new character comes around, they'll pre-farm that character always because they just can. They don't have to spend their energy doing anything else. But I'm not quite in that position yet.
What upcoming features that you are willing to talk about are you most excited for? It seems with every major patch that Tacticus Planner gets an even, like, at least to me, another big kind of more interesting patch to myself. To me, it's always interesting seeing what's going on there.
Yeah, so I will start out by saying that the only thing I've ever done in private, because it was under NDA, was the API sync for legendary events. And the entire time I've been working on the planner, everything else has been public. So we don't necessarily have a roadmap, but if you ask us what we're thinking about doing, I'm always happy to share. I don't try and keep everything a secret. I usually don't commit to anything because it's a volunteer job. I have made a grand total of $0.00 from working on the planner, and it's going to stay that way. I don't intend to make money from it. It's a hobby, not a job. Now, what features we're working on that I'm excited about? I'm excited in general about working on the planner. There's always bug fixes. Those aren't exciting to talk about, so I'll skip them. There are a couple things that people have been asking for a lot. The first one is Guild Wars. The planner supports Guild Wars, but very, very poorly. I would say the UI is super clunky. It works just well enough that people will reluctantly use it. They kind of hold their nose, turn their head halfway away so they can barely see it, and then they make use of it. I am working on revamping that. If anybody who's listening to this has seen the planner menus recently, you'll see under plan, there's a Teams page that's in beta, never got out of beta, and a Teams 2 page that's under construction. I am working on Teams 2. And the idea there is that you'll be able to create teams however you want. You just pick the units, pick the machine, or pick the heroes, pick the machines of war, create a team. You specify what modes you intend to use that team in, And if you pick things like Guild Wars, you specify which battlefield levels. I then want to make a page for Guild Wars where it takes your pre-existing teams and allows you to plot out your defense. And then also to take your pre-existing teams and run a war. So I want a button where you basically click it to say restart or start a new war, and then you select either the teams that you've already created, one of them, or just a group of characters and say deploy an ad hoc team. And what we will do there is then remove all teams where we don't have all of their members available anymore. So let's say you create, like, for your Guild War offense, you had the Blood Angels, Gene Stealer Colts, Death Bowl with Show Seal, etc. And you did some random cleanup battle where there was one unit left, and you just brought in Malleus, for example, just by himself, because you can do that in Guild Wars. You would say, okay, here's an ad hoc team. I deployed Malleus. We will remove Malleus from your pool of characters. And any team where you had Malleus on it would also be grayed out because you can't deploy that team fully anymore. This will help people run their offense. And my hope, somebody said, so I didn't confirm it, but somebody said that Ratatosk did confirm that eventually Guild War data will come to the Tacticus API. And if that's true, my hope would be that Y that I just talked about would be exactly the same. But instead of having to pick which teams you've already deployed, we just get the information from the API. It says, you're in a war. These are the characters that you've deployed on offense thus far, or these are the characters that you have remaining to deploy on offense. And then we fill in the rest for you, and it allows you to more efficiently pick the teams that you want to run, or say, like, okay, as anybody who plays Guild Wars who is listening knows, the UI for seeing which units you have available still is absolutely terrible. It just shows you that you have 85 units left. It doesn't tell you their ranks or their rarities. It doesn't give them to you in any particular order. It's super annoying and super clunky, and I hate it. So this will just take away that pain point. We don't have plans for more advanced analytics for Guild Wars. So if you're looking for that, I'm not saying we're not going to add them, but if we get more advanced analytics from the API, it's not immediately on our list of things to do to integrate it. The other features that are coming, I continue to put in a lot of effort into legendary events because I think that they are probably the second most important thing you can do with a planner. And one of the most important things you can do in the game, if you plan out your legendary events well, you can save 45 legendary orbs and 10 mythic orbs, or even 15 mythic orbs, something like that. Not to mention a lot of onslaughts. And the other thing that is not at all attractive to people, but is really necessary, is that the code for your daily raids planner is just absolutely terrible and broken. It's like a horrible rat's nest. There are bugs that pop up all the time, and we all have a hard time understanding it because it's so tangled. I am working on untangling it, streamlining it to make everything more efficient and to make it just easier to modify as time goes on or to maintain. That was a long answer, but I think that that's everything.
Yeah, I think that was very like that was perfect. That also knocks out a couple questions I was going to have come up. So, and I'm not going to complain. That works perfectly.
Great.
So I'm getting this is probably more like flavor text for me just to remember. So up to this point, I've avoided talking about a couple features in Planner since you'd probably be able to explain them better than I would. This was one of the ones I asked my guild to give a good question for, and I do think it's a good one. When it comes to XP Planner, how does that work for a user? How does it affect other sections in Planner?
That's a great question. So the XP income estimator, it doesn't affect, it can affect one other page, and that's the goals page. But really what it's there to do is to, like, people say, I get a certain amount of XP books, either Codices of War, Grimoires of War, whatever. They don't know how long it's going to take them to hit their goals. So, ranking up somebody from Stone 1 to Diamond 3 requires 199 Codices of War or 20 Grims. They don't know how long that's going to take them to get. A lot of people have no idea. Your main source of XP books are going to be probably guild raids from the guild shop, followed by, if you have characters at Blue Star already, especially residual shard characters like Snot or a Machine of War, Archaeotech. Though most people would say that that's not a good use of Archaeotech now that that's the only place to buy relics, and Arena. So what you can do is set an estimate. You can use the page under input XP income. It will help you estimate how many or how many XP books you can get over a certain period of time. If you put that in, you can then go to the goals page. Now the goals page, if you sync, it will tell you based on your current roster and your current available resources such as badges, experience books, etc., how many experience books you need still to hit all of your goals. For example, for me, I don't have any crazy big goals. Well, I shouldn't say that because for a lot of people, getting somebody past gold 1 can be a crazy big goal. I'm getting 3 units to diamond 1, but if I look in game, I think that I have, give me a moment, I currently have 106 Grimoires of War and 185 Codices and 500 whatever the epic book is called, I don't remember. So I'm not hurting for books. It doesn't, so I don't have to worry about it. But let's say you have 0 books saved up because you just finally passed the gold 1 barrier and you're ranking up your first units to either diamond 1 where you need, I think, 89 Codices of War, or diamond 3 where you need almost 200. You're going to burn through all of your books really quickly. And what this does is it says, okay, I'm going to give you a date where you're going to finish farming all the upgrade materials. But because you have told me, the API has told me how many books you have, and you have told me how many books per day you expect to get, I can tell you when you're going to hit the amount of XP books that you need. And what that allows you to do is say, okay, well, sure, I'm going to farm these 3 characters to diamond 3. I'm going to get all their materials, but you know what? I'm not going to get the XP books until a month later. So that can give you the luxury to do things like, okay, well, then I'm going to build these 3 units to silver 1 for Guild Wars or to gold 1 for Tournament Arena, etc., because they'll all fit in the same amount of time. I need far fewer books, and I will still hit my D3 upgrade goals at the exact same time, taking into account that I would have needed those books anyways. Does that make sense, or was I just rambling?
No, that's perfect. I don't think I would have explained it even remotely that clearly. I think even in the first time I tried doing this video, that I just kind of glazed over it, like, oh, yep, it's just gonna give you a guess for how many books.
Yep.
And didn't really touch it very much further than that. Let's see now. That one you've answered. Yeah, this was another one I got recommended from one of my guildmates. As of now, Tacticus Planner really only suggests, it'll suggest units based on what teams you have filled in the LRE tab for specific battles. Is there any system being considered to do that more automatically for you? Because, like, I know, for example, Codex has a battle optimizer that tries to give you a set of units for each requirement. Does Tacticus Planner expect to have anything like that, or would you prefer that to not be a thing?
So, I'll give you a short answer and then I'll go into details for a much longer answer. The short answer is we don't expect to add anything like that, potentially ever. The long answer is I'll start by going back to when I first introduced the planner. It is something to help you manage your existing resources. It is not something to tell you what to do. I think that what I have seen in the past is that you can have a highly skilled player and you can have a very casual player that, just like mashes their phone screen to play and just enjoys it for a few minutes and then turns it off. You can give them the exact same roster, and that highly skilled player in a legendary event can easily get 2, if not 3 battles further in any given track. One, I don't want people. We have enough people coming to us saying that the planner is broken and someone needs to fix it already. That takes up all of our time. I think that if we had people coming to us saying, you recommended that for Farsight's Alpha track Eviscerate, I should use these units, and I built them, and I only got like to battle 4, even though you said I should get to battle 8. Like, we don't need people coming to us saying that. Additionally, we have if you go to, I think we have it somewhere. Here we go, Learn Insights. We have I think something like 10,000 weekly active users. And that's great because we could start scraping all this data to say, okay, well, all of our users have told us these things, like this team of theirs managed to get this far, and we can see that because now we're syncing their legendary event data. That doesn't mean that somebody else with those same units is going to get that far. And maybe you had a team of all silver threes that got to 7. That doesn't mean that somebody who has gold 1s is necessarily going to get to 8 or 9. Maybe 7 is kind of a hard stop because there's a huge jump in difficulty between 7 and 8. Maybe the map's really bad. For that reason, among others, we just don't see it as something to do. I think that the codex is trying to fill a gap, and I think that to be honest, I don't use it, so I can't really comment on it. I can't really comment on it too much. I only know from third parties, or from hearing from friends, basically their experiences with it. It fills a different gap. It's for people who, let's say, don't really talk about strategy on Discord or with their guild or anywhere else. They don't necessarily realize that, sure, Kalandis fits a ton of restrictions in many ongoing legendary events, but turns out she's not really the best legendary event character, so maybe getting her to Diamond 3 is not the right idea. I don't know if the codex takes into account how good a character is in Horde mode. I would hope so if it's going to recommend teams, but I don't know. And that's something that, again, I don't want the planner contributors and volunteers to have to take feedback on, saying, hey, you recommended that I build this unit for this restriction, and I did, and that unit totally sucks. Why'd you recommend that? There's just not something that we need to deal with. I think that the planners, for people who have an idea of what they want to do, they have done the research to, they're either going with their gut and just saying, I think that this team is going to be good and I want to build it, tell me how to do it efficiently. Or they've done the research and said, okay, I know that this team is going to be good because, for example, I've watched, shameless self-plug here, Kharnage's legendary event scouting videos, and he showed me that you can get this far, you can clear this battle with these units. That's the kind of player that that the planner caters to.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's perfect. Under the learn section, there are a couple guild related subsections. I
Yep.
did plug in my guild's roster stuff. It's just, for some reason, it didn't want to load for me. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it was more a technical issue on my end than anything. Do you want to just like kind of go over those two tabs?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
they definitely serve an important purpose.
Yeah, the to be honest, the guild insights, I couldn't tell you what it does. I never messed around with it. The guild tab, okay, I might be conflating these two, I don't remember. But if you go to the input menu, you can input the I don't remember if it's the API keys or the player IDs or even just nicknames for everyone in your guild. To be honest, I don't use it
From
very
what
much because
I
I'm not.
did, it was the roster link from inside tech inside Planner.
Yeah. So you can, if you're a guild leader and you have the guild API key and you set up your guild, I think all you have to do is match. Like, this is clunky. This is what we were saying, that the front end for Tacticus Planner is very, very clunky. You kind of have to be a power user to do the right thing. When you use Snowprint's guild API as opposed to API endpoint as opposed to the player endpoint, you can get back analytics for each guild raid season. And I don't remember if it was guild or guild insights. One of them will tell you, using the guild API key that you provide, all the stats for your guild over the season. So you get full damage reports from everybody. What I would say is that, to be honest, in the long run, we're probably going to turn this down, because I think that we are really good at planning. And so things like helping a guild plan for guild wars by letting the guild leader see all of their guild's rosters and teams that they've built, and help them figure out where they want to deploy everybody for defense, and then figure out how to coordinate offense based on what they're seeing. I think that that's something that the planner naturally fits into. I think that things like guild raids and just like seeing who's done what and really kind of analyzing the data as opposed to using it to plan, that's not really what the planner is good at. And I think that there are most likely many other sites out there that are probably better. I'm not going to name any because I don't use them and I don't want people to take name dropping as an endorsement. But just to state it again, I think that most likely either the guild or guild insights page or both of them are probably just going to go away because from what I've heard, they don't necessarily work that well. And if we can't fix them easily, we probably would stop supporting them and just tell people there are better pages. You should go use one of those instead.
All right, completely fair, and I will not disagree with that. Let's see. I think we are on to our final couple questions here. Yep. If someone happens upon a bug in Tacticus Planner or would like a feature added, what is the best way they should communicate that with your team?
Oh, yeah, very easy. Go to the Tacticus Planner Discord. You can go to the #general channel and then just say, hey, I found this bug. Can somebody verify that it's actually a bug as opposed to me not understanding what the planner does? Or if you have a feature request, just say, hey, I was thinking about working, or I think that this would be really nice to have in the planner. What do you think? And then typically the response you're going to get is, that sounds great. We need to prioritize it. It might be half a year, or that sounds great. Any chance you know how to code and want to contribute it? But if it's something that we look at and say, wow, that would actually be really cool. I can't believe we never thought of that before. We can, that's something that we would jump on. So I had actually, if you go to the input resources page, the top left, the first thing that you'll see there is XP books. And so when when I really took over from Severyn, he had not synced things like books, badges, machine of war components, orbs, etc. And I just said, like, that stuff is so easy to get out of the API. Let's just get it and show it to people so they can look at it real quick. So that XP book planning that I talked about, somebody said, you know what, I've been playing for 3 years and I've never used a common XP book, and I have something like literally over 10,000 of them. Don't tell me to use them all to meet my rank up goals, because I'm just not going to, and then the planner is going to lie to me. So he suggested in the general channel that we just add an option to select which XP books we want to use when we build units. And we said, you know what, that makes perfect sense. It's easy enough to do. And like 2 days later, we had done it. We've also had people suggest things like automatic team picking for legendary events. And we've told them, I'm sure that would be helpful for some people, but it's just not something we're going to do. All of these discussions typically happen in general. And if we feel that they're actually going to be really worthwhile, we also have a threaded feature request channel that you can pop into and add something there, and we'll go over it. For example, I just jumped in there real quick. The most recent one that we had was incursion tracking, and the one after that is simplifying pop-ups for syncs. So we are probably not going to implement incursion tracking, at least not yet, because it doesn't come from the API. And I think that we have started moving in the direction that a feature that requires a lot of manual input is probably not one we want to support, because it's not one that many people are going to use. Now that a lot of stuff is powered by Snowprint's API, it's not worthwhile. But the next one, we have all these pop-ups that show up when you sync with the API, for example. They just said you should get rid of a bunch of them and only have one, and even make that one last much longer. That's a very simple feature to implement that I think would improve a lot of people's lives. So we'll probably work on it pretty soon.
All right, and then we got just one. All right, so anyways, here's the last one. Has there been any change made to Tacticus Planner that was poorly received? If so, how did the reception change over time?
Yes, there is one change that has been absolutely very poorly received, and until people really understand the motivation behind it and what the fix was, they hate it. So if you go to the learn rank lookup page, there you can say, here's a unit, here's a starting rank, here's an ending rank. Tell me what materials I need to hit my rank up goal. Now, this is a bit long, but I think that it needs to be explained, because we have explained this so many times and people still don't necessarily get it. The learn page is supposed to be, to use a very technical term, hermetic. It should not be influenced by anything in your inventory, in your roster, etc. We should be able to take the static data obtained from data mining and recreate every single thing on the learn page identically for every user. Whoever wrote the rank lookup page at first was displaying not only the number of each material that you needed, but the number of each material that you currently had and how many remaining materials you would need to hit that goal. This created a lot of confusion because let's say you go to look up the rank lookup for Titus from Stone 1 to Gold 1. You probably need about like 8 to 10 days of materials, if I'm not mistaken. And so it tells you, okay, you need this many things, and you say, oh, great, like I can go farm all that really quickly because I have a bunch of that. And so 2 days later, you come back and it shows that you farmed everything, but you haven't quite unlocked Titus yet. And meanwhile, you're still going over and farming for your other goals. And eventually you say, great, guess what? I just got Bellator to Gold 1, or I unlocked Calgar in the Christmas 2025 event. So I also got him to Gold 1. And then suddenly you go back to the rank lookup page and you see, wait a second, now it's telling me that Titus needs way more materials than I needed before. What's going on? The problem here is that the rank lookup page, again, is not supposed to take into account anything under the learn menu, should not take into account state. It should be stateless. It should only be stuff that's derived directly from data mines, nothing to do with anything you've input or anything that we can sync from the API. People were freaking out because they're used to seeing a brand new character, we just got Vin and Uthar or Balder. And so they go to the rank lookup page and they say, oh, great. What do I need to get Balder up? Oh, well, I need 82 mule in order to get him from Stone 1 to Diamond 3. But why doesn't this tell me how many I have? I just want to know how many of those things I need to farm. And the reality is we can't, those are two different questions. If you want to know how much it takes to get a character from A to B, the planner can tell you that. If you want to know how much it takes to get a character from A to B, given your existing inventory, you need to go to the goals page. You need to add a goal to get that character from A to B, and then you need to prioritize it properly because any existing materials that you have are consumed in priority order. So if you don't tell us the priority of that goal, we can't give you a legitimate answer as to how long it's going to take to farm this thing. That's the change. You can imagine why people are upset about it. What we have told them is just go to the goal, add the goal, and go to the raids page, and it will give you the exact same information, but it will be accurate respecting the goals that you have already. Usually about once every 2 to 3 weeks. So when we first made this change, we had like a massive uproar. Everybody on Discord was pissed off about it because they didn't, and we just had to keep telling them, this isn't gone. The feature is not gone. Just go to the raids page and you can get all this information. And people still didn't quite understand what was going on. So eventually I even made like a 5-10 minute video explaining what we did. And now whenever we show somebody that video and take the time to explain it to them, they go, okay, you know what? That actually makes sense. Sorry for causing a stir. I get it now. But we still have so many people who just stumble upon the fact that the rank lookup page has changed. And, I think we made that change 4 months ago, and then they get all up in arms about it. Again, I think that once people understand the reasoning behind the change and understand that the functionality is not gone, it has just moved, everyone's okay with it, but we still get people coming and screaming at us about it at least once every few weeks.
Honestly, that was so good. I'm gonna have to see if I can squeeze that in as the final question. That was really good, actually. I feel like it'd become that'd be bad. Oh man, that's gonna be. I'll find a way. Sure. I will find a way. All right. We'll end this with a very simple. Is there anything else you'd like to add? And then just where can people find you?
Oh yeah, so 2 questions ago. Is there anything else I would like to add? We happily accept all players who want to use the planner. It's a free resource. We like it when you use it. It is free, but it's not free for us to run. If you do find yourself in the position where you can donate, there's a link on the homepage and I think on the LRE tokenomics page.
Oh, and also in the description.
And there will be a link in the description. Thank you for that, where you can donate. Every little bit counts. What I can tell you is that I think we have about 10,000 weekly active users, and if even 1% of them donated $1 a month, I think that that covers all of the server costs and ensures that we can keep this running. Now, where you can find me, the easiest place is actually in the Planner Discord. I always read general. I tend to read every bug report and feature request, but I've tried very hard to not always respond to them because we have some other volunteers who will jump in there. The other place where you'll find me, and it's much more active, is if you go to the Tacticus Discord, there's a Help How Do I channel, and there's a thread there called How Do I Hyde Park. That is my usual haunt. That's the sub channel that some friends and I created some time ago because we were spamming the Help How Do I channel with our own banter. You can find all things Tacticus and Planner related in there. We talk about everything.
All right. And I think that just about does it. I'm gonna be honest, I was nervous going into this. I haven't ever tried to do a proper interview or sit down with anyone, and I think the only time I've ever done it is when I'm the one getting the questions thrown at me.
It's a lot easier to answer questions than to come up with good ones in the first place.
This definitely, it will be hard to work. It's just, I'm not too surprised. I was expecting it to be long. I'm not digging on that. I'm honestly happy it's long. I'm very excited to see what I can work into this, and it'll definitely help a lot with just getting a good layout for the video. Like, it's like I said, I felt really just bad about the initial one. It did not live up to my expectations for what I could have done. I think I'll cut it here. Thank you for your time, most importantly. Like, this whole segment wouldn't be obviously possible without you.
It was my pleasure. I hope that people listen to it and get something out of it.
I do too. I really do, because Planner was like one of the first major resources I was pointed to, and it kind of same boat, like very impressed with it. Like, I don't know the technical side. It's been way too long since I've done coding. It's impressive to see what it allows and how it's gone from a completely manual website to one that's very easy to use, I'd say honestly, very critical if you're actually looking to take the game serious anymore.
I agree. I don't think that you can play Tacticus without using the planner anymore, or something like the planner. I think that it's necessary.
Once again though, thank you for your time. Links to Kharnage's stuff will be in the description. There will be no doubt in that. And we will tune back to our regularly scheduled part of this video. With that, the interview comes to an end. I hope you have enjoyed. It took a lot of time and planning, but overall, I think the main video and the interview came together amazingly. I hope between the tutorial I released Friday and this interview, you have a much greater understanding of Tacticus Planner. There will be no outro for this video, just me talking. I would appreciate it if you like, comment, and subscribe, but any support is more than welcome. Thank you again so much for listening. This is your host, Legend, signing off.